The Fearless Launching Show was created to answer the question, how can I launch my big idea to the world in the most simple, straightforward way possible and reach more of the right people? I'm your host, Ann Samoylov, and I've been helping 6- and 7-figure business owners launch for over a decade. And while I love geeking out about improving launches, new launch strategies, what's working, what's not working, I'm also obsessed with exploring the heart, the mind, the challenges of running your own business. And that's what we're going to do each and every week. I want to show you how to launch that course or coaching program or other creative work and navigate the journey of being an online entrepreneur. So if you're ready for some new perspectives, some new stories around launching, I can't wait to share those with you. Let's get into today's episode. Hello there. Welcome back to another episode of the Fearless Launching Show. Today, for our strategy call of the week, we're going to talk about launching your online course. I know, big shocker, right? Coming from me. So over the past few weeks, I've actually spoken to a lot of you who are getting ready or in the midst of launching something that's like your Q4, your quarter 4 offer. And the end of the year, you're trying to get things in order. Some of you are going to go right up to the wire, which, hey, I say there's no bad time to launch, depending on who your audience is and what they need and what you're selling. But regardless, I thought, why not just do a quick episode today about this and hopefully highlight some things you hadn't really thought through yet that might be on your mind. Because I know in this rush, as we talked about on Monday, in this powering through mode, it can really easily mean we forget things and we don't think through the entire picture before we take that first step or we kick off that launch train down the tracks. So today we're going to be covering 3 different things. One, what to do before you even think about launching. And as I've written about this many times on the blog, and you can probably find many podcast episodes about launching, about the process, about mistakes you can make. So I really encourage you to just use that search button, use Google, search for that and my name, and you'll find something. I swear to you, I've talked about every single thing related to launches. Okay. Number 2, then we're going to move into creating your launch map. We're going to talk about some things there just to remind you. And then finally, we're going to be talking about how to make sure it's the right plan before you actually get started. All right. And I've got some resources to share for each kind of different phase that we're going to go through here. So hopefully something will be helpful and then your launch will go off without a hitch. All right. So what to do before you think about launching. So first, there's really some very basic things. And I just want you to be able to, when I say these, I want you to say, do I have that? Have I finished that? Is this clear? And the first thing is you got to have a clear offer, outline, and perhaps have started to create the content for your course. I really don't recommend what I've done in the past. Unless you're going to create it live, let's say you're going to deliver the class live, then if you're delivering the class live, you can get away with a little bit more because that first time, if it's a first time for a course, you can just turn those into the course recordings later, okay? But if you're going to do it live, then you just need your offer, you need the outline, maybe you need slides if you're using those, and you need the platforms and to know how you're going to go about that. Okay. Number 2, that offer, that outline, it has to be for a clear audience and an outcome that they are willing to pay for. And if you don't know that, then you need to connect with them much more before you actually get started. I really think that making sure you ramp up your communication, ramp up how often you're showing up on social media, ramp up just reaching out to people and asking them questions. That's going to really get things really clear for you on whether you even want to go forward with this at this point. Now, remember, if you don't have this going into this end of the year, you might want want to also think about what kind of effort that might take. Are people going to be paying attention because it's not even the end of the year yet, but in a couple weeks, in about less than a month, it's definitely going to start going in that mode. It doesn't mean you can't launch, but it does mean you're going to have to get creative and start now to connect with that audience. The next thing is you're going to start creating the content for the offer. Decide on the content, decide on the format, decide on the length of the overall course. Decide if you're going to do it live or not. Decide if maybe you've created all the content, the videos are up there. Just figure out where, when, how long, and what you need to create. And you really do need to start creating it. And the more you can do, if you're not going to create all of it at once, let's say I'm going to create it 2 modules in advance. Okay. It can be very stressful to create while you're also delivering. So just know that and create as much as you can in advance. Okay. Next, I think that knowing, and I've alluded to this already, knowing how you're going to deliver it is actually a big deal, because if you don't have anything created, I want you to think through that customer experience. When they hit buy, what are you going to send them? Are you going to send them a link to a Facebook group? Are you going to send them a link to create a login to an empty membership site? Are you going to send them a pre-training or some sort of workbook to get them started? The bare minimum for launching anything is an order form, a way to enroll people essentially, and some sort of instruction on what to do the second they purchase. So this is just in addition to that offer and the audience and a way that they're even going to see this offer, then the sales process has to be set up. If you can have that, then you can move forward in actually mapping out your launch. But I wanted to also highlight that a great resource to make all these decisions is actually a mini course that I've never publicly sold. I've offered it as bonuses here and there in different promotions, not even my own promotions. And there's a program that I have that's called Courses That Last. And because I worked on some really long-term courses, programs that are still around, that have been around longer than Fearless Launching, probably like 11, 12 years now, maybe even. This is how to create those types of courses. Now, if you don't care about, that's fine. That's the end game for me always, is how do I create something that really stands the test of time and really continues to serve people long after I've created kind of the core part of it. And that little mini course will help you put together whatever that course is going to be. Look below. The link should be there, but there's never been an official sales page, so it might just lead you to a quick info page. And if you have any questions, just reach out to me. Okay. So let's move on to creating your launch map. So let's say you've got your offer set, you know what you're launching, you know it's going to, you've got some pieces set up, you're in process on that. Now, the map really shows you what's going to happen before, during, and after your launch, marketing-wise, okay? So I don't want you can put your course building stuff inside your launch map, but I really want you to try to imagine that your program is done. How are you going to introduce it to people? How are you going to open the doors? And then how are you going to deliver it? So for instance, before might include promo materials, everything from emails, social media. It can even include your sales page, which is a really key piece in helping you create all the other pieces, okay? Any place you'll be talking about the offer, what are you going to make? Are you going to make some podcast episodes? Are you going to create some video? Are you going to write some blog posts? What is it that you're going to do? Are you going to be interviewed? Think about marketing assets that you're directly creating for the launch and other ones that might just be overall acknowledging and letting people know who you are. Okay. And this is what happens during the open cart and how people can purchase. There's basically, when you're creating this launch map, it's part to-do list, it's part strategy, and it's part just the schedule of when things need to happen, right? And what needs to happen at every single stage. So these are the 3, basically the base stages that you would create when you're creating your launch map. The after is really the delivery of the program again, because I don't want you to forget about that. You might create this great thing. You're like, oh my God, this is a great Black Friday offer. And then you completely forget that you've promised something that you have to deliver live, or a bonus that you haven't created yet. So what do you need to create? Or when do you need to show up? Or how are you going to check in with people who've purchased? Are you going to check in? Is it just going to be all automated? Can you create before this? Can you create anything prior to the delivery stage? How can you make the delivery as easy as possible, right? But help these people who have purchased from you feel super taken care of. And what I want to recommend here is that you're going to be getting as detailed as possible and really thinking through the big list of things you want other people to experience. One of the things that I've said many times in the past years is a great way to start your launch map. And when I say launch map, I just mean you can simplify that. What's my launch to-do list? Think about every single thing someone else is going to see, hear, read, watch from you. Just make the list. Don't worry about when it has to come out. Just, oh yeah, okay, I'm going to do an email series. Okay, I'm going to do a private podcast. Okay, I'm going to do a webinar. Okay, I'm going to write an email series to the people who went to the webinar. Just go through what you think that launch map needs to include. I definitely have a full mini course. It's another mini course. I'm not calling it a signature course because it won't take you more than half a day, maybe, to go through the actual material. And you can listen to it on the go, even if you want to listen to it as a podcast or something like that. And then you'll be able to use templates that I have and just go in and start deciding when you want to do things, which things apply to you, which things don't apply to you. So definitely look below for my Create Your Launch Map course link. And we're updating that for 2024 with some really cool things like a Notion launch dashboard. And we've got a Q&A that'll be coming up for that as well. But it's a really great way to just plan out your one launch. And then I think, if I'm not mistaken, it also includes a kind of planning all your marketing for the year, like at least semi roughing it into a calendar so that you know what you're going to have to create, what maps you're going to have to create throughout the year. Okay, finally, once you have these two things, once you have your offer, once you have your launch map, then I want you to share what the offer is, share all of this and your launch map verbally with someone else. This is something I always recommend too, and I think I've even talked about it on the blog, podcast. I'm not sure where, I'll look for it, but I know I've definitely talked about it. And that is, you want to just trade your launch. That's what I call it. Like, I actually think I was inspired by Laura Roeder back in the day when she was teaching about WordPress. She would say, trade your website, and where you have someone else look at it. Same thing here. This is a great way to make sure that you can answer any questions. Like, the person should be someone who's interested enough in your success to ask you questions back. Those kinds of back and forth are invaluable. Plus, you'll be able to do it for someone else, hopefully, at the same time, or one and then the other, and then both of you will gain that experience of looking at your launch a little bit more critically and looking for things that might be missing, you might need more of. But reading it out loud, just like reading out loud your copy, is amazing, right? So share it with a business partner, a peer. It doesn't have to be your bestie. It could just be someone you respect in business, and you can share ideas back and forth freely and honestly, okay? So the final resource I want to share with you is a totally free one. It's my launch workbook. This is something that we're also currently updating. So you sign up for it now and you're going to get something probably in a few weeks where there will be a list of the most simple tech to set up your launch and things you can plan from the get-go, and also just a simple checklist that you can just take, download it, and even if you don't go check out the launch map or the building courses that last, you don't have to. This will at least get you started, and it will get you started before you start planning, right? So you can go to AnnSimoilov.com/launch-workbook to check that out. So as you can see, there really are just a few things that you need to be aware of. Now, this is definitely not my most exhaustive episode on what to do before you launch. There's tons of information that, like I said, you can find over at AnnSamoilov.com. But at the very least, you got to have an offer. You got to have it outlined, and hopefully you started creating that content and that it's for a clear audience and a clear outcome. Some people that you've connected with, they want this outcome, right? And then you can create your launch map, which is marketing assets, the sales process, and it is also how you're going to deliver the actual course. All right. So this was like my Fast and Furious how to launch episode. I'm going to probably put a few more links to some other episodes. I know that there is actually a collection, a Spotify podcast that I put together at some point. So I'm going to put that below because that'll get you started as well. And if nothing else, that's sometimes all we need is to just get started. I don't want you to hold fast to something somebody else is doing so much that you take it as, oh, that's it. That's what I have to do is that exact thing. I want you to still be asking questions and giving yourself that ability to make those decisions, training yourself to make those decisions. So it's good when you don't have all the answers. That means you can ask the questions. You're probably like, just give me the answers. But that said, we do have a lot coming in these smaller programs that really don't take that long to digest and just get to work. All right. Have a great weekend. Oh my goodness, it is Halloween next week, and I'm so excited. I love Halloween. Okay, have a great weekend, and I will talk to you soon.